Is there one particular album, I like to ask people this, of all your albums where you feel like the songs and the production were exactly what you kind of had imagined?
Master of Puppets, for a number of reasons, I really felt that lineup's peak. And when I mean that, it's, we were peaking with Cliff Burton, and he was writing amazing stuff. And like I would sit there, because we roomed together, I would sit there and watch him play his detuned classical guitar, and he'd play the weirdest, craziest stuff. Really weird stuff, And then he'd put on this like Les Paul copy and start playing along to like Lynyrd Skynyrd songs, and I get annoyed after a while because he'd stop the track and go point out to Ed King's solo and go, "What's he doing there?" And he goes, "Do you know what he's doing?" I go, "Yeah." And then he said, "Please show it to me." And then I'd have to show him like a basic guitar thing, right. And then he would play it for he'd play it for the next 3 hours, over and over. He used to drive me crazy, but that was his process. Arrangement wise, the songwriting wise, sonically, playing wise, we coalesced in a way that we had not coalesced at that point, and it just makes me wonder what And Justice for All would have been like with Cliff. I actually, that's a thought that I still contemplate. But Master of Puppets, for me, it's a very sentimental album. Mm-hmm. And again, we knew we were onto something, and we knew it was provocative, and we knew that it might not be accepted by anyone, but we were fully 1,000% committed to it, every single note. And we had to be, really. We had to be. And, I think it shows. When I revisit it now, I get flooded by a bunch of memories. I mean, even when you were just playing the thing that should not be. I remember that was the last song we finished on that album, writing. And, we finished it in the studio, and I remember I had 45 minutes to do that guitar solo because I had to leave for the airport. And I thought to myself, I better fucking get this guitar solo done in 45 minutes or else I'm going to be staying in Copenhagen for a little bit longer than I anticipated. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And the guitar solo that's on the album, I did in 45 minutes.
I'd like to take a second to talk to you about this channel. This is actually Rick Beato 2. I've had it since the beginning of my main channel, and many of you are not subscribed. As a matter of fact, 87% of the people that watch this channel regularly are not subscribed. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button on this channel and on my main channel. This will help me get even more of my dream guests and help continue to grow both channels. Thank you. So when you look back at things, you just played, like we said, for 160,000 people over the course of 2 days. And it's basically 40 years since the first record came out. Doesn't that just blow your mind?
Oh, it's mind-blowing, because, and this is a sentiment that we all kind of shared, when Kill 'Em All first came out, we were happy to be playing clubs from coast to coast. At that point, we thought we'd made it, For me, it was just like, I'm actually making money playing music, and it isn't just piddly change. It's just like I can actually go out and go to a diner and buy myself, a meal, for the week.
Right.
Because I came from nothing. I didn't come from a family with money. My family was poor. I'll say it. And my first guitar, I had a Strat. I couldn't afford a case. I used to carry it around in a garbage bag. I'd go on, the bus or on BART, what's this, the subway system in the Bay Area. And I'd have to put it in a garbage bag because I didn't want to attract attention to it, because there were a lot of unsavory characters. And if they saw a skinny teenager carrying a shiny guitar like that, that instantly was a target. So I knew better to just cover it up with a garbage bag and make it look like it was just a bag of garbage. To go from that to playing MetLife for 160,000 people. It's touching, you know. It's inspirational, and just like, you know, I feel the love, and you know, I feel blessed because ultimately I think music, you know, music is a nonverbal language that everyone understands. You know, there's all this talk about extraterrestrials. They might be clued into our music too, you know? And that's even even more trippy to think about. Knowing that I'm helping people in a positive fashion means so much to me. Really does.
Okay, so I want to ask you this. I like to ask when I have guitar players on, what you're practicing. Like, what do you work on? What do you work on to you know, licks you're working on, things that you work on for technique. Mm-hmm. What are you working on lately?
You know, I always have my warm up.
Okay, and which is what?
My warm up is the same warm up. You know, it's just like Joe Satriani taught me in like 1982.
Okay.
You know, when we're just, all of us are just struggling, starving musicians. And, you know, it's called, you know, the jazz chord relay is what he calls it.
Okay.
It's like, you know, major chord.
Wait, I don't know the jazz chord relay. Hold on. What's the jazz chord relay?
This is what I'm showing you. Joe Satriani taught me that when I was like 18 years old, and I've been doing it ever since.
And he calls it the jazz chord relay.
Yeah. I think
that was incredibly. I know that. Yeah. I see the shapes you're doing. Do it again.
It's
That's
like a
really,
major, you know. Just, you know.
That is.
And then
you can go awesome.
Then you can go.
And that's your warm-up.
That's like basically probably the first thing I do.
Okay.
But then I do what everyone just like acknowledges is a time-tested best warm-up for everyone, which is the old chromatic thing, you know. I mean, just like, you know, all the way up. You know, all the way up, you know, and then back, you know. You know.
So that's your warm up. You get your fingers going. Then what? Will you?
No, I'll play. I'll go through the modes. You know.
Okay.
You know, standard thing. You know. You know, standard thing. I'll go through the modes and cycle fourths.
Okay.
You know, so I start in A, the next one's D, you know, next one's G, you know, next one's C, you know, cycle fourths. I'll go through all that. And then usually I'm like, okay, do I have any riffs in me?